Oh.
Why do you want the white man's validation? Hey, I'm your host Alexis.
And I'm your co-host Drew.
Sit back and relax because you're
in good company.
Hey guys, so it's officially summer. I want to say welcome to summer break.
Woo! Everybody's having some extra time to listen to In Good Company.
Yes, so on your way home from a summer job, you could start listening to one of our episodes. You're just chilling, you're waking up, you're on your little walk in the morning.
Exactly, a little In Good Company to keep you company on your walk.
That was so cheesy. Y'all, we didn't plan that at all.
No.
Oh my goodness. But yes, in this week's episode, we're going to be talking about something that has overtaken my For You page. So if you happen to have a For You page that is synced up with mine, you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. And if you do not, you're going to get a little insight into something that it's been bugging me. It's been making me twitch. Like, y'all got me messed up. But today's topic is culture vultures and the overpopularization of Black and Asian culture. So we're going to be exploring the recent conversations online regarding African American and Asian culture being popularized rather than viewed and respected. And the reason I said that specifically is because I feel that other cultures, to an extent, because I think unfortunately a lot of cultures they kind of get taken and reshaped, and all of a sudden it's mainstream and it's not as sacred. But I feel but I feel it happens to, I'm just speaking from a Black person within the Black community. I see it all the time. I know I can't speak for other cultures per se, but I see it happen and I peep it and I'm like, dang, that sucks. So I really just wanted to explore this topic, and I've been seeing it a lot online, and we are going to get into just that. So Truk, I have to ask you, what are your thoughts on different aspects of your culture being popularized and then rebranded within white spaces specifically?
Ooh, in white spaces specifically.
Yeah.
The first thing I think of is food and making Asian food palatable for white palates.
Now that's interesting because my head wasn't going there. I was
Really?
thinking more
Fashion?
how, for Black people, I feel like our bodies, our fashion, our trends, or even the way we speak is commodified.
Yeah.
But I do agree that food is heavily commercialized to be more palatable
for the white palate. And I feel like it has a lot to do with the whole Asian American demographic and how we've managed to pick out the least quote unquote exotic items to sell. I do see a lot of people online trying, oh my goodness, exotic Asian food, and gagging and doing all of these theatrics to say that the food is bad. But
didn't Selena Gomez's man did that? I swear.
Did he?
I'm pretty sure I saw that man do that. I think it was Asian food. It was a fast food spot, and I think they did Asian food. I could be wrong, but I remember people were stitching him and calling him out, and it was a lot of Asian creators. So I'm like, this is Asian, likely Asian food.
Yeah.
But yeah, continue.
But no, that was gonna be my main response to our culture being palatable for the white.
Yeah, no, heavy on that. I would say, as I've kind of touched on within the Black community, for sure, it's definitely first of all, AAVE is now Gen Z lingo. No, it's not, but it is. I've noticed that for sure. I would say even the way, just before my time even, the way, I think the music that's popularized within the Black community, I would argue to an extent, I never really thought about food, but no, I could totally see that happening because typical food we eat is you would say soul food per se, and there's a lot of historical context behind certain meals and this and that, and I think for food I'm whatever, eat what you want, because you kind of have to acknowledge where it comes from, in my opinion. But I think with trends and the way you dress, it's so commodified and so watered down, especially even when they it's not even they play homage to oh my goodness, this is something that was popularized by this famous person who happened to be Black, and I really like it, and I just wanted to wear this type of trend because I know in the early 2000s the low rise jeans and the top, that was popularized by mainstream hip hop culture, specifically Black people, and now it's come back. It was popular, came back, so a lot of people were wearing it, and I'm I guess for stuff like that, I get it. Trends are, clothes are going to be trendy, but I feel like lines have to be drawn. Like, nah, because I don't want to jump too quick, but girl, I'm going to give some of my examples of stuff that's been pissing me off. White people starting to wear bonnets and act like they've been wearing bonnets, like online specifically.
Oh.
I have seen white women get online and be like, guys, I just got this amazing new hair product. It's this cap from the TikTok shop. And they're like, you need to go buy this now. And I'm like, don't tell me you're getting paid to advertise bonnets, because a few years ago, people were literally taking photos of black women in like airports or public spaces wearing bonnets and calling them ghetto, calling them like all this different stuff. And I'm like, now white girls are getting on here and wearing bonnets, acting like they've been wearing bonnets. And I'm like, y'all have I swear to you, at least not online. You're wearing bonnets in secret. I don't know. But I've
seen some black women share their perspectives on the bonnet situation, and they were saying like, hey, don't wear it now because it's popular. Wear it because you want to keep your hair healthy.
Yeah, because
there are benefits to
if you have curly hair wearing a bonnet. I definitely think that people who just have like straight pin straight hair, and I'm like, why are you now wearing that? You could just get a silk pillowcase.
Yes, I was gonna bring that up too.
Yeah, because black people specifically wear it because of like the oils on their hair, and our hair will dry out. Okay, I got more though. Cornrows being referred, this is so chronically in line, being referred to as white boy Carl braids, like from Shameless.
I hope you know this is the first time I've heard of this new term.
I'm so happy. I feel like it's so chronically online, but I've seen people talk about, oh my goodness, y'all need to get your white boy Carl braids for this summer, and it's a white girl cornrows, and I'm like, you can't even call it what it is. You can't because someone was saying, and I agree, that when I suppose culture is commodified, the problem is it gets rebranded and renamed and watered down, and then that's how it's seen in the like popular space. That's how it's seen within like Kim K got these braids once. I don't remember, they started with an F. I'm blanking on how to pronounce it, and she renamed it, and people are like, oh, I gotta get these braids. I'm like, girl, no, at least call it by its name, please.
I think the root cause of all of this like negative feeling towards cultural appropriation is the commodification of it.
Yeah,
and
100%.
how they are selling this new thing that's already has been existed and like, shared within a community,
and like making money off of it, rebranding themselves off of it, and then maybe even getting paid to sponsor it. I remember I don't remember, this was probably maybe more than a few months ago. Honestly, time's so weird. But Miel is a really popular black hair brand, and they had this hair oil, super popular, makes your hair grow like crazy. Supposedly, I never used it. And then white women started buying it. The price went up. They changed the ingredients to cater like to
white women. Oh.
And then, y'all, here's the gag. Black women cannot no longer buy it. And then what ends up happening is that these brands started by black people get really popular, and they sell them to companies, and they usually get sold to white people who change the ingredients to like cheaper stuff because they don't want to. They're like, we can cater to whoever we want. And seeing that happen in real time is mind-boggling. It truly is. Y'all, I have a lot to say, as you can tell.
Go ahead, girl.
No, but
Alexis prepared a whole list.
Truly. Okay, some other stuff. White girls saying wash day.
Oh, yes.
That's crazy, because the reason black people say wash day usually takes them like a whole day to thoroughly wash their hair, dry, this and that. I don't know why y'all are using that term respectfully. I don't know why. Say wash hour.
Yeah.
And then this was a while ago, but edges being referred to as sticky bangs.
That I've seen, and that was so goofy looking.
And I don't even know if like homegirl was trolling, but the fact that she even got online and some people ran with that.
Some people were like, oh, this is really cool, I'm gonna start doing that.
And I think it also comes down to a lack of representation within the media, and then like people not having friends of different cultures, because no way the first time you saw edges being done badly, might say, was by some white girl calling them sticky bangs. Like, anybody who actually knows a black person would be like, isn't she just doing her edges?
Yeah.
I feel like there wouldn't even be a confusion. I think a lot of times maybe these people just like to like piss people off, but also I wonder if they are so much in their own bubble that like the actual terms don't reach them, and they just don't care to educate themselves. They're like, well, it's whatever.
This is my first time being
Like, I genuinely, I can't tell. I'm like, are y'all just, what's going on right now?
They're just blissfully ignorant to, like,
and I think,
whole different communities.
Truly. And I think as minorities, you are forced to learn about white culture. Like, you don't have a choice. It's in the media, it's in the history books. So we sit here and we're educated. But it doesn't have to be the other way around. And I think that's where a lot of
that's where the frustration builds up.
Truly, like, yes. But girl, tell me some other things that I see you got a list here that you feel like have been.
Oh, yes. My examples.
Yes, go into it.
Asian culture being popularized. Well, I mean, to kind of go back to the whole, like, clothing thing, because you talked about how that has been commercialized. I know a lot of Asian clothing has been sexualized in the media. More specifically, I can only speak on the áo dài because that's Vietnamese, but I've seen other, like, Asian clothing being misrepresented as well. So áo dài is essentially a traditional Vietnamese garment. It's usually, like, has a collar, long sleeves, and it's essentially a shirt with really long drapes down to your leg. And you also wear pants with it because an áo dài is literally just translated directly long shirt. So I've seen some celebrities online wear an áo dài without the pants.
Wait, can I tap in just for a quick
second?
second?
Yeah, go ahead.
Can I say just the way during, like, for Halloween, white people will dress up as races? Like, as races. Like, they will dress up as different races.
I'm sorry?
Okay, wait, let me explain this. Let me explain this. No, okay, have you ever seen, like, people dress up as, like, indigenous people for Halloween? Or dress,
like,
like, the full, I doubt it's accurate.
Their whole, like, headpieces.
Yes, or, like, people dress up as, like sexy Asians, or, like, people will dress up as, like, black people and, like, put on afros. And it's like, this is why. But it's not even just, like, because they'll, like, wear the item and then they'll, like, make it shorter or make it sexualized. Have you never seen, honestly, if you've never seen this, I'm happier for it because it's very prevalent.
Honestly, I'm not surprised that it happened. I've never, well, I don't want to use the word never because I probably have seen it before. But yeah, no, this did not come into my brain when I said all of that.
Because the way I be seeing people take, like, Asian dresses specifically, and they'll, like, shorten it and they'll put the chopsticks in their hair.
Yes, with the hairpins.
Oh my goodness, and it's like a sexy Asian, and I'm like, wait a minute,
what's going on?
Something about this don't feel right to me.
Yeah. And it's usually more Chinese clothing. It's like the qipao with the short sleeves and the and that's actually a dress, so you can wear that without pants. But
they like purposely make it like
super
short and super tight.
And I'm like, okay, queen, I guess. And the whole, like, hair stick thing, right?
Yeah.
Like, you shouldn't be using chopsticks. You should be using
actual hair stick
pins specifically made for the hair.
They have those. Like, y'all can buy that.
Correct.
And I think some people say, oh, like, you know, you argue they do sexy teacher and sexy nurse, and they sexualize about everything. But the problem is when you already have these stereotypes of, like, these women from other cultures being more promiscuous or blah blah blah, and then you, on top of that, you dress up as them and then you sexualize them within the costume. Y'all cannot see the damage you're doing, like,
and
genuinely.
Furthermore, it's you seeing it as a costume is the problem,
and not like a sacred dress. I don't even care. Like, maybe sacred's like, y'all, like, this isn't sacred, but, like, it's a part of somebody's culture, and it's been passed down and passed down and passed down, and there's a meaning behind it. There's something behind it. So when it gets commodified and then turned into something else, y'all, I'll sit there, I just be pissed. I can't do anything about it, but I'm like, this is so unfair. Stop it, please. Like, oh my goodness. But please continue, Truk, with your explanation.
I forgot where I left off.
You were talking about
but
what they were, like, appropriate, not even appropriating.
I just saw this celebrity wear an áo dài without pants, and I remember the entire internet was very shocked and appalled by it.
Wow.
And I remember this being in middle school because I follow these, like, Asian pages on Instagram, and they kind of just report on, like, Asian news. And I do remember at that time they were kind of going crazy over that.
Was
yeah?
it a white celebrity?
No, I think it was a celebrity of color.
Really?
Yeah.
Ignorance lies in all communities.
Oh, for sure. Can I say the Asian community is guilty of like appropriating our own culture?
Or even, I can't get over the fact when black people go to Japan and they are wearing cornrows and do-rags. I'm like, please be so for real right now. And every black woman is like Beyonce. Like, people will go there and they'll be like, you're just so beautiful, like Beyonce. I'm like, please, say someone else. And people talk about it, like, actively, like, because I follow a lot of black people who travel.
Mm-hmm.
So some of them reside in Japan or Asian countries, and they'll just go there and talk about their experience. I'm like, yeah, the people are nice, but you're going to see people in do-rags, you're going to see people in braids, you're going to see people talk to you in ways that you don't even speak. It's just what they're kind of mimicking. And I'm like, I know they do not mean harm, but y'all would have me tweak, and I'm like, please take that out of your hair.
Yeah.
All right. Like, I just think for me, it's just wild to see, because it's really like, it feels like or an aesthetic.
Yeah.
It feels like it's just an aesthetic to them, and I'm like, this is a culture though.
Mm-hmm.
But you know,
heavy on the aesthetics, because I feel like a lot of different cultures kind of has been aestheticized.
Yeah.
To the point where it's just like, oh, I want to dress more Asian. I'm just going to do certain things, wear like a skirt in a specific way. Or like, I feel like a lot of people who try to look more Asian is trying to do like
certain makeup
looks with the makeup to elongate your eyes, pull from like mostly East Asian clothing.
Yeah.
And that is the whole Asian aesthetic.
No, because I was even thinking about this, because I do feel that certain styles of makeup get popularized by certain groups of people. And I'm like, makeup's makeup, I guess. So, you know, but I think it's when you try and completely change your features to mimic another like group of people's features, and I'm like, or like white women who specifically do their makeup to look Asian. And some people think they're Asian, or like
that's called Asian baiting.
No, yeah, the Asian fishing, or like even like white women who get tans that are or like,
so
and they even get like perms and stuff.
Yeah.
And you think they're mixed, you think they're half black, and they're tricking you, and they're profiting off of it. That's where I really am like, if that's your thing, get skin cancer, babe. But then they like pretend and like cater to an audience. And I'm like, this
misrepresenting the group that they're trying to
and then people are like, oh, this is what these people. No, we don't look like that.
No, girl.
That's not even. That's
and
not
that's
even
also
us.
very stereotypical as well, because
Truly,
like even for within the Asian community, there are different aesthetics with us, right?
Yeah.
Like we have our own styles and everything. There's not just the K-pop aesthetic that is Asian, you know?
Truly.
And like, makeup is makeup. You're right. I truly don't care what kind of style you do, because there's some really cute makeup that it's really fun mixing around.
It is. I think when you acknowledge where it comes from and you're very respectful, there are certain things I'm like, nah, I'm cool with that. Like, and nobody really cares about my opinion. I'm just gonna vent.
Go ahead, girl.
Like,
go ahead.
So be it. But I do think there are lines for me, and too many people cross them, and too many people do not care.
The intention and the respect for the culture that you're taking from.
Heavy on that. And also, I'm like, I think the most frustrating part is when like black people literally get discriminated against for their hair, for their braids.
Yes.
And then white women go and wear it, and it's like, you need to discriminate against them.
Right.
It needs to be equal. Everybody's going to get discriminated against. But it's like when it's someone else wears the style, it's okay. Or they could easily just take the style out for a job interview or this and that. And I'm like, the double standards. I'm like, we got to keep it even. We got to keep it a buck. Nobody's getting opportunities. Nobody's getting sponsors.
Yes.
And then they'll leave our stuff alone. They'll be like, nah, I'm not even going to bother.
Right.
But they wear it and they make it's cool and it's whatever. And they're like, I don't understand. Like, no one's getting discriminated against for this. Yes, they are.
I think the only way to share culture is to have like basic level of respect for everybody
and knowledge.
Because,
people are not knowledgeable where stuff comes from, and they don't want to do the research.
Because I think the sharing of culture is very healthy and very normal, especially when, because I know there's a lot of intermingling in the continents, right? Like, you live by each other. Of course, you're going to have cultures from this thing and that thing. Like, I know Vietnam shares a lot of culture with China. Like, but we're not the same ethnicity, but we do share similar traditions and whatnot.
I would argue there's an overlap between, like, the black community and the Latino community. Like, with the way, like, some like the popularization of like hoops and like the makeup style and even like the way there is overlap because of course there are, but there's an acknowledgement, and that's where there's a difference for sure. No, but okay, True, I gotta ask you this. Okay, wait, I'm finding the next question. Would you say that when you typically see like people partaking in like, I don't want to call it like trends, because I do feel like, unfortunately though, these things become trends and then kind of die off. Like whatever aesthetic is being taken from a culture, because like, oh, this is really hot right now and this is really popular right now, and then people don't care, but it's like, for the culture, it was always relevant. And I think for me, and I definitely noticed, K-pop is popping right now. And because K-pop is popping, people are like, it's almost like, oh no, Asian culture is really cool, and like I actually really do like it.
But only East Asian culture.
No, like
all
heavy,
the other,
heavy.
You know, South Asian, Southeast Asian, they're not cool enough.
And I think it's so wild because it's like a personality trait for a while, and they move on and they go on to like, because I saw a video and someone talk about how when you feel there's a lack of identity, you kind of latch on to whatever's popular. And I think she made a lot of good points. So like white people who feel disconnected from like their heritage or whatever, or they don't think their culture is that interesting, they want to like latch on to like what's popular, or they're like, this is so cool. Like even the way, this is very chronically online. How are we having Kendrick Lamar girls, and every girl in that video is like, they're like showing different images of like nails and like gold jewelry, and it's all white girls. Or Sade, the girls who know Sade. How can an aesthetic of a black person not include black people? It's weird, because I don't feel like I've seen videos of like aesthetics of white women and then it's only black women in the video. That would never happen.
Yeah, no.
It would never be a thing.
That's not
They'd be like, bruh, this is weird. Like, yo, I don't understand. Like, and part of me feels like if you just get off the internet, it will not bother you. Like, it can't touch you. But then it's in real life as well. Like, ignorant people are everywhere. I think it's just, or even like rage baiting. Like that one white woman who recently said the N-word. She's like, I don't care, doubled down on it. Got fired from jobs. Like, I'm going to become like a conservative figurehead. And then, y'all, it's hilarious actually. Because why she's online and all the conservatives she's appealing to are like, bruh, she looks like she's mixed. We don't want her. And now they're like, she looks like she's Jewish. We don't want her. And they're like, we don't even want you, girl. Like, you're not pure white. So then she just,
the standard is always changing. My goodness.
I'm like, first of all, that's what you get for saying slurs and doubling down, but also
for trying to appease to a group that
didn't even want you.
Right.
They don't even want you. Like, they're dogging her out.
Yeah.
It was actually I was really happy to see that happen.
I mean, no,
it's karma.
valid.
It's karma, y'all.
It's truly the
you get what you give.
Of our actions.
But no, it was the most wild thing, and I think part of it is rage baiting. I think they just want to get like views, and they know
comments,
people are going to stitch it, people are going to talk about it, people are going to be upset about it.
Can we go back to the comment that you made about how people who lack culture tend to grasp on?
Yes,
else?
Please.
This is not against white people, but it's more against my Asian people.
Oh, okay.
Specifically in the Asian American community.
Okay.
And I feel like I've observed this a lot. Just growing up in a very like mixed community. But I feel as Asian Americans who are disconnected from their Asian roots are also the people who kind of like feed into the stereotyping and the fetishization.
Oh my goodness, wait, I wanted to touch on that.
Go ahead.
No. Okay, just expanding on your point within the black community, can I say, unfortunately, some black people definitely pander.
Right.
And excuse it and like willingly accept, oh yeah, you can come to the cookout. I saw this one girl, I've seen that actually a few different times. But this girl's like, I want braids like all my black friends. And it's like, okay, we get it. You know, you want to fit in. That's sweet. So rather than teach your daughter, oh, you know, this is our culture. And, you know, this is their culture. And braids are going to make your hair fall out. And this and that. Black women in the comments were like, I'll do her braids for free. Let that little white girl have braids. And I'm like, Why? Why are we? I almost feel like the acceptance, like when white people think something of a different background is cool, then you're like validated. You're like, yes,
heavy
it
on the
is
validation.
Cool. It's the validation.
Heavy on the validation.
Oh my gosh!
Oh.
Why do you want the white man's validation? Because they do.
It's okay. Let's.
I mean, I
about
know.
it.
I
We're
know
in
why.
America. Like,
I
you
know
have to
why,
pander
but
to the overarching community.
No, and actually get into it more for your community because I want to hear all your thoughts.
Okay, so here are my thoughts on like specifically Asian American, not just Asian.
Yeah. Okay.
Because I hear a lot of arguments saying towards white people who dress up in more traditional clothing. They're like, oh, like people in Asia would totally accept me because they're excited to share their culture.
Oh my goodness, yes, I've seen that.
Specifically in America growing up, some Asian kids are made fun of for, sharing their culture. I've had the privilege, or I've been lucky. Okay, yeah. I've been lucky enough to not been made horribly fun of for my culture and my traditions.
Do you think it's because you didn't grow up around a lot of white people?
Correct. I was gonna say that. I grew up in a very mixed community and everybody was always comfortable to share their culture.
Right.
And I'm very lucky for that. But some Asian children didn't get that opportunity and they're essentially shunned from their culture.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of Asian parents who immigrated to the States as well are trying to assimilate to American culture, and a lot of these kids are ripped of their heritage.
Yeah.
So when it comes to going out in the real world, they kind of cling on to their physical Asian attributes to say that I am Asian, and they pander to these stereotypes or they pander to these aesthetics because that's the only thing that keeps them in the culture.
It's like looking at them, you would assume they do have a rich culture, but because they don't feel it, they don't know it innately like other people do. It's like, oh, dang, and then you kind of cater.
Yeah, there's this immigration. The immigration kind of detaches us from our culture, and even for me, if I go back to Vietnam, my grandparents are gonna be like, "Oh my gosh, you have such a cute English accent."
Is it? It's
and I'm like, okay, and even then, I technically, quote unquote, would be more Vietnamese than other Vietnamese children because I speak the language. And I know a lot of them feel this insecurity of not being able to speak the language, and they only have boba, ao dai, all of these things.
And you eat the food
Asian
at home as well.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Okay, so I grew up for the first, chunk of my life around mostly white kids because I lived in a white area. And I will say it's very isolating. I was the only fully black kid in my class. There was we had two classes for first and second grade. There was one girl who was mixed. They would always call me her name.
Oh no.
Always. And then
I've had that happen to me too.
Twin. Yeah, no, it was wild. And I just know I didn't feel like I had a sense of identity. It was very cliquey at that school as well. It was a really weird culture. Everyone used the same bento lunchboxes. Everybody shopped at the same stores. Everybody, it's almost like they had their own little culture going on at this school within it. And I just remember feeling like I didn't fit in, I wasn't eating super ethnic foods, y'all, but there was just a lack. I just felt different. And I do feel that unfortunately a lot of kids who grow up in mostly white areas probably do feel that way. It's inevitable, especially even if you're around the most tolerant white people ever. I was in freaking liberal state. It's just this isolation that you feel because you're like, dang.
There's a disconnect.
Yeah, there's just this easy understanding when you're around somebody of your own background and they just get it. They get the food, they get the culture, they get the way you speak to one another. And there was a lack of that. And I feel for all my kids out there, I want y'all to get around people who look like you just to notice. I think that's a right. I think you have a right to that. And it's unfortunate that a lot of kids or a lot of grown-ups, people who are grown, do not get to experience that because of where they grew up.
Honestly, just to comment, I think the best environment to grow up is a very heavily mixed environment instead of just people of your culture.
Yeah, because then you get wrapped up and then you... Oh my goodness.
Because in there, it becomes monogamous and the homogeneity will make you other people who are unlike you.
Heavy on that.
Because I know there's a big problem with racism in Asia. And it's because we're so homogenous that we don't tend to accept foreigners like that.
Mm-hmm.
So honestly, best environment would be a mixed environment.
I do agree, and I think that me and Truk are really lucky that the environment, the state that we live in is at least the area that we're in. I can't speak for the whole state, but the area that we're in the schools that I've been to have been decently mixed. I would say
pretty diverse. It's
majority black people. Early elementary school, high school was more mixed, college has been more mixed, and I'm not gonna lie, I think after being the only black person, I needed a really black environment for a few years, and then I got to be around different cultures, and it's a lot of fun. Like, you get to share food and experiences, and there's overlap in stuff you get, and I like it. I think it's a lot of fun, but what I'm basically trying to get to is I think that that's the most natural way to learn about other cultures. And if you're curious, then your friend be like, oh yeah, like I do this and that. Naturally,
they're going to share it with you
precisely.
Rather than you. And also, there's not a sense of commodification because you're not doing this online either.
Yeah.
You're doing this organically, and you're having conversations with these people. And I think that's where cultural appreciation kind of reigns on top.
I agree.
And like the sharing of culture is more, less fake almost.
I agree. I think it's a natural sense of community, and when everyone is so online, that community, I understand you kind of want to share things, and there can be amazing community online, but then also there are people who take it too far, and it's like you're giving someone a gift, and they take the gift, and they're not appreciative of it, and you're like, wait, no, that's not even, you're using the gift wrong, wait, like, come back here. I don't know if that analogy made any sense. Well, the point of the matter is, the analogy I was trying to get
at. That did not make sense, if I'm being truthful.
Okay, here's the analogy I'm trying to say. I'm going to start this over. I think that online, a lot of things get shared and overexposed and overpopularized, and then people bore of them. But the problem that lies in is that a lot of things that are becoming popular super fast are like people's cultures or aspects of, people's identity. And when you are just around that person in real life, it's like I'm naturally learning new things about you gradually by gradually. But online, it's just everything happens so quick, and we're on to the next thing, and the trends are commodifying somebody. And those communities, it's not like we're getting a payout. It's not like, oh dang, all this money's coming back to us, or it's coming back to our, our neighborhoods, or whatever it is. No, they're just making money off of it and running to the next thing, and that's where the frustration lies. That was a lot more coherent.
For sure.
And actually, as we wrap this up, guys, I have a theory that I want to share.
Oh, yes.
So here's my theory. I feel that a lot of people see black people as aesthetics. They're very vast, interesting. Our features are popularized. I would say our music is popularized, the way we dress, the way we talk. So a lot of aspects of just who we are, but not us as people. It's like everything about us is interesting. They're like, but we don't actually want to be black. And when other cultures can do this, but I find that a lot of times it's when white people bore of like the aesthetics of being black or whatnot, they throw it away, then they start again with a different culture, and as I was saying, like I think it's just a cycle of whoever is just as interesting at the moment.
Whatever's trending, whatever's like, oh, that looks cool, I want to incorporate
Precisely.
And it can be from any race.
No, and I'm saying, I feel this happens within every race. You see people who, it's always so curious though when I see it within people who actually, like, you guys have a vast culture. I don't know what y'all are doing. Oh, wait.
It's the detachment.
Yeah, it must be.
Yeah.
But wait, girl, I saw a video. I saw a video, and this guy was interviewing people on campus, so like people our age, and he was like, if you could be any other race, what would you be? Mind you, this is like a bait question. And every black person said, I like being black. I would want to be black. And every person of a different ethnic background said they would want to be white. And I'm like, because people were like, this one Asian girl was like, no, I'd want to be a white man. And he was like, well, why? He's like, oh, just to make my life easier. She's like, I really like being Asian. Like, I think, it's dope. But I'm like, that's so curious to me. And I've seen multiple videos, and every video I see, black people say, I want to be black, and other races say, no, like my life would be easier if I were white. And I think maybe it comes down to if white people like me and I can assimilate, they like aspects of me, it makes my life easier. I don't know.
Yeah.
It was such a curious video, and I'm like,
I feel like, once again, it comes from that detachment and not being able to fully immerse yourself in the heritage that you have. And also, speaking of white people too, who came over here and like took over indigenous land, they came from culture too, but that disconnect did not allow them to have any culture now.
Because when they came here and America was started, it was really like, erase your past, you know, we're not doing that anymore. We're starting our own country and our own history and our own this and that. But the problem was, as time continued, what's the history? Like, actually, what's the history? Every food that you have came from somewhere else. A lot of the history you created is, you got blood in your hands from minorities. Y'all, I think they don't even, I think if they really think about it, and if they're not delusional, what history is there to, like, genuinely be proud of and to enjoy? And I think that's part of the problem. So then they're like, well, American culture, like, all the people who came here, like, make up American culture, but then also you're commodifying people's actual cultures.
Right.
And that, I'm like,
How do you feel about white people going back to their roots? Like, for example, like Dutch, German,
I mean,
Italian. Like,
I think that's great. I think
such a,
I think more people should do that, and maybe they would leave other cultures alone. Respectfully, maybe if you went to Italy and started eating that pizza from, like, you know, the roots, you'd be like, I don't even need to be commodifying anything else. I do think they honestly, to an extent, I feel bad. I think there's a disconnect when you are so out of touch with culture and it makes up a huge part of who you are. I think you just feel like, well, who am I really? I think mixed kids probably also experience this, because if you look more like like your parents are mixed and you look like one race more than the other, then it's like, well, I kind of feel weird about, especially with like people who are mixed with black and they don't look black, and it's like, can we say the N-word? Can we not? Can we do these hairstyles? Can we not? And it's like, it's kind of, I think it's a personal decision if people want to do it. But there's this real line, because it's like, well, if your hair isn't this texture, then why are you wearing braids? Well, I'm half black, but your hair's gonna fall out. Respectfully,
it's like, that comes down to your personal and family decisions.
Just so true.
How will your mom raise you? Like, is your hair texture correct for this
No, respectfully, nobody wants your hair to come out.
Yeah,
nobody wants you to be balding. Oh my goodness, because I will say, my mom is light-skinned, so a lot of people perceived her as mixed race or a different race than she was, but all her family's black, so she grew up around black people. She perceived herself as black, and other people perceived her differently. And I feel like that's a whole conversation in itself, like how you're perceived, and do you look like you're commodifying a culture you're not a part of when you actually are, but maybe you don't look like the typical like the type of people expect.
Right. And I feel like from there you just have to be really you have to be very confident in the culture that you're in to move forward with that, because you're gonna get judgment nonetheless. And, you know, have trust in your history and have trust in your family.
Because like, at the end of the day, you know who you are, you know your identity, you know who you were raised with. And I will say, this is random, but I quickly want to touch on, I was just thinking, I even feel bad for like kids who are adopted, and they're adopted into families who have vastly different cultures, or
they
like
adopt from different cultures.
But I feel like, you know, you kind of, this is cool, but even like black kids adopt into white families, or Asian kids adopt into white families, and they're like, I need to figure out what my culture is. They like have an identity crisis. They're like, who am I? And I think people underplay how big identity and culture is to who people are. So the fact that a lot of white people were cut off from their heritage leads them feeling wondering and kind of like grasping on to whatever they can. And I think that's where it stems from and where it begins.
Wow. That was beautifully put. Wow.
Why, thank you.
This discussion that we came up
Truly, we ate that up.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. But as I say, as we fully wrap up, I am going to do a song recommendation from Sade. Because, guys, my favorite song from Sade growing up was Bring Me Home off the album Soldier of Love. So if you don't know it, give it a listen, please. Like, it slaps. True. What's your little bit?
My little TikTok that I saw this week, especially since we are talking about culture and everything, within big like ethnic cultures, there are a lot of subcultures in it as well.
Ooh, very true.
So the person that I was gonna reference in this video was sharing the difference in between like Asians who come from Asia and Asians who are Asian American, and their different experiences like growing up.
No, it's Chooks big. I was gonna say same thing with African Americans and Africans.
Yes.
It's two different cultures.
Right, African American versus Africans. Yeah.
It's two different things.
It's like it's growing up with such mixed backgrounds, but still sharing that culture is very cool. But I think both sides need to, you know, have a perspective that the other person grew up with different experiences.
Heavy
So
on that.
That was the TikTok I saw, and that was the thought that, you know, popped in my brain. So yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I want to say shout out to Bobby.
And shout out to the
Humanities Department. And we'll see you guys next week.
Bye.